DJ Humphries, though? What's up? Welcome to the Four-Man Front. It's on my channel this week. I'm Grant Cohn. That's Jessie, Naylor, the coach, Ryan Hensley. We're going to be evaluating the draft because we haven't spoken, the four of us, since they've done it. But before we look back, we need to look ahead and acknowledge the two big stories of the day, George Kittle and DJ Humphries. So I'll start with Humphries. This afternoon, the 49ers signed veteran left tackle DJ Humphries with a one-year deal. This guy's started 100 games in the NFL, missed last year with a torn ACL. Unclear exactly what the vision is for him, but he's an offensive lineman who can start in the league. How do you evaluate the signing? What do you make of it? And does it sort of change your off-season grade for this team?
For me, it doesn't necessarily change my off-season grade. One thing I will say about Humphrey is that he 2 years ago had a pretty big injury. And I think much like Dre Greenlaw came back potentially a little bit early trying to play for the Kansas City Chiefs last year. He hurt something else and really was just kind of never the same. Now, 2 years removed, you've got to wonder what he has left in the tank. To me, it's pretty clear he's not here to start. He's here to try to revive his career, maybe also knowing that Trent Williams likely hangs it up after this year. If he does a good job here, he can get paid a little bit and then remain as the left tackle. So that's how I view it. We did a show yesterday, Coach, and I said I expect the 49ers to sign a veteran tackle. I said it would probably be somebody like Jedrick Wills. Humphries, same difference. I mean, two guys with talent, two guys that have done decent but haven't been good for probably 2 or 3 years. So we'll see how it pans out, but I don't think he's here to start by any means.
I think it's a good move. He's a former Pro Bowler, former first-round talent. That makes now 2 first-round talents on the 49ers offensive line with the addition of him. Trent Williams is the only other guy on the team that's a first-round talent. Again, injuries, the big issue. I think he had an ACL and then a hamstring. What was the recent one? Is it a hammy?
I think it was a hammy. Yeah.
Yeah, so he's got a injury history, but if he's not here to start and you don't have to rely on him game in and game out, I think it's really good depth. So I actually am impressed with the 49ers going out and getting some depth and addressing the offensive line.
When I look at it, I don't really necessarily count it as immediate health. What I do like is what he brings immediately, which is depth to the offensive line so we can start our offseason program off the right way. We need bodies. Looking at the offensive line that we came into last year, that was the biggest thing that hurt camp, is that we just sheerly did not have enough offensive linemen to actually field a good camp, get good practices, have a solid offseason program. And that's what this signifies to me. I don't want to put the cart in front of the horse and actually see what he envisions on the field. For what we know, DJ Humphries could be a practice squad player for the rest of the year, and Kyle could just shelf him. You never know. So I'll believe it when I see it, as far as him actually making the 53, him being somebody who actually dresses. The way we treat the offensive line is, unusual at best, right? We have a unique way of how we field guys. So I don't want to just bring him in and then automatically say, oh, well, you know what? DJ Humphries is signed, veteran guy. He's our new swing tackle. We don't know. This is just another body that they signed because, quite frankly, they should have signed more offensive linemen in this year's draft. There were some things that happened to them earlier on that we'll get into that may have hindered them from doing so. But that's all that matters. That's what this means to me. Simply put, is that we got another body so we can have a stronger offseason program and field a good camp. And this is more proof that the Niners should have gone after maybe an offensive lineman or two in this year's draft.
I think this explains why the Niners didn't. I think when they say they wanted to trade up, we heard they wanted to trade up to the number 8 pick. They say they wanted to do it for Mykel Williams, but that would have been a mistake since he would drop to them. I think they may have wanted to trade up for Kelvin Banks Jr. Maybe I'm wrong, but I think what happened is there were spots in the draft, maybe early on, round 1, round 2, round 3, where they could have taken an offensive tackle, but didn't. And I think maybe they were weighing, like, do we take an offensive tackle in round 4? Is he better than DJ Humphries? because we got DJ Humphries in our back pocket. So maybe that explains why they were like waited until round freaking 7 and they took a guard and didn't take a tackle. My thing with Humphries is like when he was healthy in 2023, he was at least as good as Colton McKivitz. So like if he's signing as a prove it deal, I don't see how that helps him to not play. Like to prove it, you kind of have to play and show that you're worth something. So like, why would he want? Does he really have no options? Does no one want him to play anymore because he's been hurt for 1 year? Maybe. Or does he think he'll get an opportunity to compete with McKivitz? Or does he think, is he like open to playing left guard? If not, I mean, if he's just here to be the backup tackle, like that's great for the Niners because now they have a starting caliber backup left tackle, which is exactly what you need if Trent's your starter because you know he's going to miss at least 2 games, maybe 7. So I think it's a hell of a signing. Probably better for the short term than drafting an offensive tackle in round 4 or 5 and hoping that he can actually contribute as a rookie.
I think it's definitely depth. And, I think he was injured twice. So I think that's what the fear is around the NFL. But if he's here to be a backup, which I think that's what he's here for, I think it's a really good signing, to be real.
Hello?
I would see how long I can hold that. No, I'm
I was like,
I'm still like fully in on the conspiracy theory with Trent. Like, I'm sorry, I'm still in the like Joe Staley. The thing happened. Like, okay, they didn't draft an offensive tackle. Fine, they signed one a few days later, and he still hasn't said a word publicly or on social media. So, excuse me for being skeptical. I still feel like something weird is afoot. Afoot.
And that's more. I mean, to be honest, that line of thinking actually makes more sense because DJ Humphries doesn't. I don't think you prove it even being a swing tackle. To your point, right? That's not necessarily proving it. DJ Humphries proving it is getting on the field, right? So right now, for me, I understand that they said that Trent was at off-season workouts. I'd like to see some actual visual proof of Trent Williams being with the team. That'd be nice. But
He's like Bigfoot right now.
Yeah, definitely. Sasquatch Williams. What we definitely need to do is we need to actually see what DJ Humphries' real intentions are with the team. In a way, it's kind of like it makes me feel like when Sam Darnold came here. Remember when Sam Darnold got signed here and he was everything but a shoo-in to make the team, but at the time everybody was saying, "Oh, no. Sam's going to come in, he's going to compete for the job." And no, they had plans for him. That's the reason why he took the money that he did. That's why they came in right away. So this honestly strikes me as do we know the money that he got signed for?
Not yet.
That would be interesting because
It would.
what we could do is juxtapose the money that he got signed with now versus what guys were getting signed with in the market. And if he got signed for more money and he actually waited, this sounds like something that the Niners could have possibly went to DJ and said, well, hold off. We've got something for you in the tuck that we're going to give you regardless, all right, for a nice 2-year sweetener. We got some issues over here with our left tackle, and we don't know if he's necessarily going to make it through to week 1. So that could be something, too, where the Niners are just stashing away a really good contingency plan if and when Trent decides to maybe hang it up or retire.
Philip Hammer says, if you were silent and listen closely, you can hear David Lombardi saying this is the greatest signing ever. So throw that out there.
That's funny. I want to say this real quick because you brought up a good point that I was going to touch on is I almost hope it's a 2-year deal. Not like a 2-year fully guaranteed, but like a one-on-one where the 49ers can take advantage of having him here next year. So if they lose not only Trent, but McKivitz, he played right tackle to start his career. Maybe they want to make him the right tackle and draft a left tackle or vice versa and groom a left tackle and start him at right tackle in the meantime. But that does give them help next year. So it's just one of those things that we'll have to wait till the contract comes out, but I'm almost hoping for a 2-year deal out of it.
All right. Kittle signed his extension this morning. 4 years, $76.4 million, just so he can make a little bit more than Trey McBride. Thoughts, feelings, impressions? Did you like it? Did you not? I mean, what struck you about this deal? Go take it whichever way you want.
I like it. He deserves it. Out of all of this entire regime, it's time for us to kind of start putting the final touches on what stayed, what made a lasting impression. I mean, if we're not going to get a Super Bowl, we might as well start walking around with our yearbooks and putting KIT and putting in all our superlatives, kind of wrap this whole thing up. So really, George is one deserving. Yeah. George is one of the most deserving guys of the deal. He's always coming in. He's doing the most. He does the most for this team with pretty much an afterthought in production. I mean, really, a lot of his production is after Kyle has basically done everything but finally go to him. Everybody kind of has to keel off and die off before George finally gets his numbers. And when he does, it happens in record time. George exploded, especially when Brock Purdy got here. We can't forget about that. Also, George was a mainstay in this year's offense, and did quite well and played well, even in our worst moments. I think he's deserving of the contract, and he's a 10-year guy. We can't shake him. He's here for a long time. George is going to be here forever. I can see him now running around with his gray hair, long gray hair, silver. He's not going to.
Go ahead, Ryan.
Yeah, I do think it's a good, I think we all knew it was coming. I don't think many people thought it would not happen. George Kittle's kind of the face of the 49ers franchise at this point. He sells jerseys. He puts butts in seats. It's good for business. He's deserving of it. In my opinion, the best tight end in the NFL, most well-rounded, has been for years now. If he was on the Chiefs, I think that would be undebatable. But because he's on the Niners, his statistics don't always match up with that, but I still feel like it's the truth. I think he's a great team leader. I think he provides energy that this team needs. 4 years is, what is he going to be at that point? 34, 35, 36. Yeah, so we'll see if he plays that whole way. And I don't know how many years we're guaranteed on that thing, but I think he deserves it, man. I think he deserves it. I think we all saw it coming. I also think it's good because now it helps the 49ers figure out the math on Brock Purdy.
I think that when you look at the deal, it's most likely going to be a 2-year deal. They'll have an out after that. It sounds like just early on the way that it's structured, that's the way it's going to be. And that's the way the 49ers usually do things. So you're talking about this year plus 2 more. I have a feeling maybe in that 3rd year, he starts to slow down quite a bit. But at that point, you can maneuver money around however you need to make it work and let him retire as a 49er. I think that when you have a team that's as young as the 49ers are now, and you've had George Kittle there as long as he's been there, he, along with Fred Warner and Trent Williams and some of these other guys, Brock Purdy now, they set the tone for this next regime. They are the ones that say, hey, this is what it's like to be a 49er. You rookies, whoever comes in from off the street, this is the 49er way. And I think keeping George Kittle here is important. I will say, 2 years ago, it felt like his career would be much like Rob Gronkowski's because he had a ton of injuries. He always seems to be limping somehow, but plays through it. But he's really been healthy the last couple of years. So for me, I'm encouraged by it. I don't think I would have said 2 years ago that in 2 years he'll be signing a 4-year deal. I would have thought that was crazy. But here we are, and I agree with it.
Okay, let me try to do the other side of the argument. Because, he's been on the field the last 2 years, but he hasn't really been healthy. He had a broken rib all of last year. He played through it. He had a torn core muscle the year before, got surgery afterward, played through it. And it's like, dude, Hall of Famer, super tough. But the thing with the Niners extending older players, and I don't want to get too much into his motivation or whatever, but I think this is just kind of universal. When you are 29, 30, 31, and you have no guaranteed money left on your contract, you're more likely to play through everything and gut it out and show how tough you are, what a team player you are, and all that stuff. And then when you get the contract extension and you got $40 million guaranteed for the next 2 years, I'm not saying you dog it or you change. All of a sudden, though, there's zero financial incentive for you to do that stuff anymore. All of a sudden, it's like, well, hold on, I got to protect this investment. I think we saw that with McCaffrey last year. The Niners thought he was good to go week 1. He was like, nope, I'm going to Germany because I'm not sure about it just yet. We got to really make sure I'm ready to play. So I'm not sure. I'm not going to say that Kittle's all of a sudden going to miss a ton of games, but I get kind of nervous giving big extensions to players in their 30s, guys who have had a lot of injuries. And the Niners haven't had a lot of good success with it. They're trying again. It could work out. You don't want to see him play for another team. I totally get it, but it's not like he's Stephen Curry. It's not like he's Joe Montana. Even Joe Montana had to finish his career with another team. That's my spiel.
I hear that. But I just feel like just due to what they ask him to do on a daily basis, it's almost impossible for him to dog it. I mean, when is George Kittle ever on the field and he gets to just kind of mail it in? I think that's why he got paid because he does add on. He's part of the reason why we don't invest in the offensive line because we have somebody like George Kittle. I think that a lot of what he does and why he got paid isn't necessarily because of the uptick of like his athleticism. Because there was a time, if we're being fair, there was a down spot in last season and the year before where it was like George cannot get open. Like George is not getting open at the top of the routes. This may be it for him. I remember that distinctly where there was questions about whether or not George had finally like kind of taken a step back. So I do understand where you always want to kind of move on before they get old in a sense. But this is one of those guys where I just think that he's kind of crossed over into the upper tier of, hey man, you're kind of a more of an investment than you are just a player now. Like your face matters. You need to be.
Grant,
The
you know
last
how
time he signed an extension, he missed 8 games the following season. That was a
Grant,
coincidence.
you know how I know you like this deal, Grant, because you have a George Kittle jersey behind you on your couch.
Subtle.
Yeah,
Subtle.
secret fan.
I'm all about
Yeah.
subtlety. Sir Cash Money says owning dogs is cool and all, but what if they get together and will do to me what the Romans did to that Julius Caesar fella?
Gotta watch
Steve
out,
Ballmer.
bro.
Boy.
He's old.
I mean, who hasn't thought that at some time? Who
Gotta
hasn't
watch
thought that? Yeah. Frisco Shill says, has reaching on draft picks forced the Niners to reach on free agents from outside the team? And has this undermined team culture?
I don't know that it's
Reaching.
undermined team culture, but yeah, I mean when they traded Buckner and then drafted Kinlaw when they probably shouldn't have, even though he had a pre-existing injury, and then that didn't work, so they had to bring in Hargrave and spend a lot of money on him, and that didn't work. Yeah, I would say that they had to reach. D Ford was another one, and then when he didn't work out, it was just constantly trying to find that replacement. So yeah, I think so a little bit.
I mean, but you could look on the flip side and look at signings like Richard Sherman, Emmanuel Sanders, Trent Williams, where they've all been free agent signings or trades that have actually uplifted the culture. So it kind of goes both ways as far as free agents coming in and kind of selling off the culture just to move on. But I do agree with the comment that the byproduct of that is not drafting well or selling off picks.
And I think the thing that hurts the 49ers the most that, we mentioned, but it's good to remind, like with questions like this, is that trade for Trey Lance, man. Like not only did you use all those picks trading for him, but then when you got him, he was worthless to the team. So like that's really what put the 49ers in a bad position.
Yeah, where's their depth? They traded it.
Yeah, they traded it. That's true.
Trey Lance. Thank you, Stephen Smith. All right, last thing, and then we'll switch gears. So Kittle deal gets done in April. Like, against all odds, the 49ers actually get it done before OTAs. He didn't miss a single practice. Will they do the same for Brock Purdy? Is he on the verge of finalizing an extension with the 49ers as well? What do you think? Best guess.
On the verge. I mean, on the
like
verge
in the next
like
4 weeks.
Yeah, I think it might take a little bit longer than that. I don't think this is anything that's going to bleed into training camp, though. I keep looking at when the other deals had been signed, and all the other deals were signed around June, July. A couple of them bled into September. I'm talking quarterback deals around the league. Not
Jordan
49er
Love was
deals,
July, right?
Yeah, Jordan Love was July. Tua was July. I think Herbert was July. Kyler Murray. So this is around the time frame. I would expect that it gets done in the next 8 weeks, which is plenty of time before the season. I also never thought that even if the contract was going crazy and they were far apart, that Brock Purdy would ever be the type of guy to hold out anyways. I just think that he's going to be there. He's going to show up and a deal will eventually get done. And I can't wait for the deal to get done because I'm going to be so curious as to what is it structured like? Where are the outs? How much money is it really guaranteed? Because again, that to me is going to tell you exactly how they feel about Brock. They can dress it up as 60 million or 55 million and do all of that. but what is the actual guarantees, the fully guaranteed, not the reported guarantee, but that fully guarantee, and when are those outs? Because that will tell you what they really think of him. So I'm excited for it.
Fred is up to get signed as well. Isn't that true?
That is true.
Fred,
he has 2 years left on his deal, but yeah.
If they don't,
walk with me a
it's
little bit.
$29.5 million cap hit if they don't restructure Fred.
Right. So walk with me. I mean, tell me how crazy this sounds. I think because the Niners have the leverage. I mean, the last time we heard the Niners talk about how they felt about where they stood with the contract negotiation, I believe it was Jed at the owners' meetings, right? And that was all over the place. Like Jed didn't necessarily give off a vote of confidence that it was gonna get done. I mean, as a matter of fact, he left comments that made you kind of think that he was letting Brock know, like, hey, when you're ready to come to the table with what we've offered, maybe we can have a conversation. But until then, nothing. What if the Niners have they have the leverage? Brock can simply just play, right? And play for 2 more years, right? They don't have to do anything. What if they've just moved on and said, you know what? We understand what we want to do with this kid. He's not moving. Come on, George. Let's get this over with. Sign George. Go ahead and get Fred done. And then there's a possibility that they don't even get Brock Purdy done this.
I think Brock gets done personally. I think Brock is going to be – I think it's going to be a lot less than some of the numbers that have been thrown out there. I think it's like 49, 50 million. I don't think it's more than that. I think Brock settles for it. I think the 49ers make it happen, and I think it happens pretty quickly, actually. I think it'll happen in the next 2-3 weeks. I think that's what's going to happen with Brock. I don't think Brock thinks he deserves 60, 65 million, even if his agent is fighting for it. I think deep down inside, he's going to be thrilled to get 50. He's going to be thrilled to be the franchise quarterback of the 49ers, and he's not going to stick to his guns like the Nick Bosa's, Brandon Ayuk's of the world. He'll settle, and I think they'll work it out, and I think they'll work it out pretty quickly. That's what I think happens.
I'm with Ryan on this one. I mean, George and Brock just spent like a week together in Nashville, vacationing, whatever. Their wives were there too. I imagine they talked a little bit of business. And then what does George do? Well, they both show up to OTAs. George a day late. And then George signs his extension. And it's a little bit of a compromise from what we understand from Diana Rossini. He wanted $20 million a year. He wanted the 2. He didn't get the 2. He got 19.1. And he was, generous and gracious to give that up. So look, now we cut to Brock. Is he going to hold out for the 5, or is he going to like graciously, generously accept $49 million a year? That's sort of the George Kittle move. And I think he's going to ultimately do it. And I think what's so funny about accepting $49 million a year as opposed to holding out for 51 is you're a freaking saint for accepting $49 million a year. Oh my God, you're a team player and you gave back to the community in the locker room. And it's still $49 million a year. So I think he's smart enough to figure out that he's the good guy if he takes $49 million a year. And if as soon as he get in that 5 range, fans are going to side eye him like, you're greedy, you're hurting us, you're not worth it. I think he's going to, in 2 weeks, maybe 3, $49 million. I think he's going to accept it. 49.1, 0.4.
I tweeted out 49 was
that low.
I tweeted out that 49 was my threshold for Brock like a month or 2 ago. And I think that's ultimately, you're right. That's what it's going to come back to. Something like that.
Yeah, it's like, look, George, we like you, but we're not giving you the 2. We love you, Brock, but we're not giving you the 5. And they'll be like, all right. I mean, George said, okay. I think Brock will say okay as well. And if he doesn't, trade him. That's too late. No, it's not. You got Curtis Rourke. If you guys watch his highlights, love him.
Yeah.
Watch his film. I posted a thing of his film. I actually kind of like him.
Did you watch the all 22? Because it doesn't count.
Did.
It wasn't all 22.
I like,
yeah.
I like your
I
comparison.
film, Grant, not highlights. Okay, bud.
That's right.
Jessie, I like your comparison of him or whoever it was. I don't know if it's Jessie or Grant who said Kirk Cousins. It's a very good comparison, I think.
That wasn't me. That was Grant. Yeah.
Grant. Yeah.
He's got that. Good. He's got that stature.
Maple Missile is all I know. That's all I care about.
That's
being in Music 88 says 4-man front versus Lombardi and Gorilla. Who wins?
Lombardi and the Gorilla.
Listen, the Gorilla's 100% eating Lombardi first.
Yeah. First, we're leaving Lombardi.
Yeah, he doesn't know what Gorilla. Gorilla doesn't know what team he's on.
What are we talking about?
JDM 408 says, don't forget Jimmy Ward's nickname for Parag is GameStop, meaning they both like to lowball people. They're going to go back to dragging things. Well, I didn't know that. He calls him GameStop. That's great. I love that.
He
Okay.
said that on a live or something.
Hey, can we just say Maple Missile is a horrible?
It's terrible.
No,
He's gotta
it's
get some
not.
more.
It's a
Nah,
phenomenal
that's a
name. No.
goated-ass
It's a
name.
It
great
sounds
name.
like something I would name my.
Nope. It's
Jump.
Maple Missile. I love it.
All right,
It's
look, we're
good
going to
go.
get into the draft picks right after this, but this show is brought to you by Prize Picks, and it's time that we make some Prize Picks. We got the Lakers tomorrow night. They got their backs against the wall, guys, and I'm curious who you're picking in this pivotal 3-1 matchup against the Timberwolves. So let's start with LeBron James, who some people think is the greatest player of all time. We're going to talk about it. What do you think? 26.5 points against Minnesota for LeBron. Do or die.
He'll do it.
More.
He's going to try to win more.
Higher.
Nah, you don't even care if he'll lose. He just wants those points. He'll definitely get more.
Yeah.
Okay, let's find Luka Doncic. What do you think? 31.5 points for Luka.
No.
Somebody in the
Sick,
comments
isn't
said, someone said the syrup statue. That's crazy. Sorry. Go ahead.
People, yeah, but he can move. He had a torn ACL. That's why I don't like that nickname. Can we do the rebounds and assists combined?
See, this is why I like doing Prize Picks with Jesse because he knows
Rebounds and assists right there.
he knows the plays. Okay, rebounds and assists. 16.
Give me that more. Because if LeBron's going to get more than 26, he's going to get a lot of those assists. So
That's smart. It's following the game script. All right, Austin Reeves. What do you like for him?
22 for sure. No, 18. Hillbilly
18?
Kobe.
What is
Billy
this
Kobe?
game? Is it tonight? Oh, it's tomorrow.
tomorrow.
Where is the game?
No, when
In LA.
I think
Oh,
it's in
tomorrow.
LA,
It's
isn't
tomorrow.
LA, yeah.
It's tomorrow. Hillbilly Kobe. More.
Hillbilly
Going once,
Kobe.
going twice?
That's him.
Hillbilly
That's him. He's
Kobe.
got more.
More.
All right, let's get Anthony. Let's a Timberwolf. Do I have to write Timber? Okay, Timberwolves. Anthony. It's a mouthful. What is a Timberwolf? Have you ever seen
Man,
a wolf and be like, no, it's a Timberwolf.
Wolf that
It's different.
dwells in the timbers.
It
Ant
dwells.
has become Ant has become my second favorite player to watch in the NBA after Steph. Love that guy.
He's pretty fun. He's like a throwback. He's got, yeah, he's cool. All right, 29 points for Ant.
nah.
I'm gonna
an
go
elimination game.
less. Yeah, I'm gonna go less because this is not like a must win for them, right? I could see the Timberwolves losing, maybe even like losing by double digits, and then they pull them to get them ready for game 6 or whatever it is. I could see that scenario, so I would go less.
All right, let's do one more just for the sake of it. Curry. 26.5 points.
More.
And it's so tough because Houston's like one of those teams that consistently can keep you under 100. And
Look,
again, it's not a must win for them. That's my whole thing.
Yeah.
he just had 17. There's no way he's not getting 26
2 in
and
a
a
row.
half next game. Yeah.
All right. Well, Ryan,
All right.
you
said it
go
with
with
conviction.
Live
You
by
said it
the
with your
sword,
chest.
die by the sword.
I'm locking it. Oop, nope. There it is. Nope. There it is. Yes. Finalize the lineup. It's really that easy. Submit the lineup. Boom. And we're submitted. Those are the prize picks. It's that easy. Go use the promo code Cohn yourself and win. Okay, let's get into the draft. So you guys did watch parties. You guys reacted on the spot without, I mean, it was very real and raw. So you guys have had a few days to think about it, but I'd love to know. I know you guys probably liked the pick. That's not what I'm asking you. Was it the right pick, or was there someone else you would have taken at 11 if you were the general manager? And if so, I'd love to know who. Give me.
Michael Williams for me was my number 2 option as we got closer. Early on, it was Walter Nolan and is my number 1 guy, and then Jahdae Barron was a close second. But as we really got to the draft, cornerback no longer made sense. So we knew they were going to go trenches. I was hoping they wouldn't go with Banks. Luckily, he didn't fall. For me, Walter Nolan was my number 1 guy. So I would have gone Walter Nolan, but it was close, and Michael Williams was right there. So super happy with the pick. I'm still kind of back and forth because I'm trying to not look at the pick by itself and then pair it with what was also there. So I look at it. I know we're going to talk about the second round, and we will. I may have a different answer, but like if I went Walter Nolan, And then I probably wouldn't go Alfred Collins. I would look at like Ezeraku, but then I'm looking at two guys that are more pass rushers. Am I really getting a way to stop the run? So that makes it kind of interesting. But I just have to go with who I think is going to be have the better career. And slightly, I'll go Walter Nolan, but it's close.
I think it was a good pick. I like the potential of the kid, but I'm not going to change it up and act like that's what I would have done. I would have done what I tweeted out before, what I said I would have done before, which was trade back, try to get more draft capital, and gone after Simmons, who would have been the best tackle in this draft had he not got injured, and had him sit a year behind Colton McKivitz or Trent Williams and be the eventual replacement. Because if he's healthy, he might end up being the best tackle out of this draft, and the Chiefs did that. That's who the Chiefs got. So that's what I said I would have done, and that's probably what I still would have done. Although, like, now my hindsight is really liking the Cowboys pick, because I think Tyler Booker might end up being the best guard in this draft. He seems like a Pro Bowl type guard. They have a need at guard. That, to me, if you draft Booker, that is a much safer route to go, and the 49ers do need help there. I feel like there's no question Booker's going to be a really good player. With Michael, it's definitely possible he becomes an absolute stud. But I do question, like, it's like more TBD with him because of what he did in college.
For me, my number one guy was Armand Mimbu. I wanted him only if he fell to us. And once he got picked up in 7, my guy was Mikael Williams. I wanted a defensive lineman if we couldn't handle offensive line right away. I thought that Armand Mimbu, because Josh Simmons was hurt, was far and away the best tackle in this year's draft. And pound for pound, yeah, Josh Simmons has Armand Mimbu, but you just can't count on him ever getting back to that level. It's just a crapshoot. So when you one of the biggest things outside of just picking a player, I didn't want to move out of 11 because I feel like we need elite players. I felt like it was time for us to start replenishing the top part of our draft, which is older and heavy and expensive, right? So the only way you do that is actually get a stud. And I felt like also getting a stud in this year's draft was a premium because we couldn't even count 10 guys that we thought deserved to be in that area of the draft where we picked. So Mikael Williams, Walter Nolan, and Armand Mimbu were my 3. Armand Mikael was first, and then Walter Nolan second. I wanted to get after D-line last because I felt that D-line was actually had the most depth in this year's draft. But Mikael Williams is the pick that I was happy with, especially the age. He's got huge upside. All of the things, for fear of being redundant, that everybody's talked about. But the biggest thing that I liked about Mikael Williams is that he has so much upside as far as his body is concerned. He's 6'5", 260 pounds, but he's only 20 years old. Like he's got about 3 more years of development in his body for him to really turn into something that we've never seen before. So I do love the fact that he can stop the run. And I agree with Coach Kasarik. I never seen nobody stop the edge. Like he stops it with ease. So I love the Mikael Williams at 11.
I like it a lot. I think it was the right pick. And what's interesting about it is, like, some people be like, well, he's not a good enough pass rusher to take at 11. He's just not. He's a run defender first, and he's a projection as a pass rusher. I think it's interesting how, like, scheme evolves. Like 10 years ago, he wouldn't have been a good enough pass rusher to take. But now, since defenses have gone to like 2 high safeties all the time, and the way offenses have responded is by running the ball with like 2 and 3 tight end formations. Like the only way to really stop the run, like, defenses don't want to load the box because offenses want you to load the box. Because once you load the box, it's play action city and you're freaking cooked. So the only ways to really stop the run with 2 high safeties is a 5-man front, which the Niners aren't going to use. Well, they might a little bit with Saleh, but they're not going to live in that. They're with us. They're in the 4-man front territory. And if you're going to stop the run with the 4-man front and the two high safeties, you need some big freaking defensive linemen. And 1 or 2 of those guys need to be able to 2-gap when necessary. And with Mikael Williams, he has the length to do it. And he played 4-eye. So as he gets older, to Coach's point, and he's like 270, 275, like, you can reduce him down to 4-eye against teams like Philly, teams that like run the ball with quarterbacks, Baltimore, and then have a 5-man front. And so I think now with Mikael, and we'll talk about Alfred Collins in a minute, I think the Niners have so much more versatility for their front, and they're going to be able to actually stop the run without bringing an eighth man down, which is what you want to do in modern football. So I like it. I think it's a good move. And it's, as far as the pass rush goes, it's why you're paying Bosa. Michael has potential. So does Collins. And it's why you're paying Saleh. Like, you need to scheme stuff up when it's time. So I like the pick.
I love it, man. I'm thrilled. Like, it made me feel like that they get it. Like, we need guys we need get off the bus guys. Like, this guy is a specimen. Like, the first thing that we notice with camp is, what did we mention to each other as soon as camp in is like, they look small. They look like a smaller team. They don't look imposing, So I'm glad that we got him, man. It's a great start in the right direction.
Okay, round 2. Round 1, Michael Williams. He's a run defender, but he's a 3-down player. Round 2, they take Alfred Collins, 6'6", 330 pounds, no sack production in college. May not be a 3-down player. That's to be determined. And there were 3-down players all over the board. So, was Alfred Collins the right pick in round 2? Why or why not?
Oh, are we pairing this with what we would have done in round 1? That's the question. Because if we are, like, if I would have gone Nolan round 1, I definitely wouldn't have gone defensive tackle round 2. So
given that they took Michael Williams,
okay,
was it the right pick in round 2?
Okay. Yeah, probably, because defensive tackle was flying off the board. What I did before the draft is I had 3 guys that I would take at every pick. And I had Alfred Collins at pick 75 as one of my 3 guys, thinking that he would probably be there. But what you started to see was guys like Tyleik Williams that you were hoping to be there early second round. They were gone in the first round. Yeah, so Grant going at pick 13 overall or whatever it was, that was really, really high. And so all of a sudden,
higher than you think.
Yeah, so now you've got defensive tackles flying off the board. I do feel like it was the right pick in that sense. The only person that I would have considered potentially taking above him in that spot would have been Ariante Ursere. And I think he's a really good player. I think he would be great sitting for a year. He'd be the future left tackle, no problem. But knowing what the 49ers need, and they needed it in spades, which is defensive linemen, yeah, Alfred Collins made a lot of sense. And pairing it with Michael Williams, I do think it was the right pick.
Yeah, you want to go, Coach?
No, go ahead.
I agree with Jess. Like the one player is Ariante that I was looking at also, but honestly, the drafting of Alfred Collins made me feel better about Michael. Right, them two together, like Michael's, like, again, I think Michael could be fantastic, but having right, like, a lot of people comparing him to Alden Smith. Well, where's his Justin Smith? And not that either one, not that this is going to be Alden Smith and Justin Smith. Let me back that up a little bit, but they need that big body dude like Alfred Collins to match up with Michael Williams in order to be fully effective. So I like the Alfred Collins pick, and I like it particularly because it makes me feel better about Michael Williams pick. So I think it's a good move by the 49ers. I think that's who I would have got too.
I did not like the pick when it first happened. I said as much.
I saw it. It was incredible.
I was hot.
Yeah, you were.
And just for a couple of reasons, because I saw the Michael Williams pick, and I was foolishly thinking that that's what we were going to get down the defensive line from end to end. So when we got him, I also had a little bit of like, I felt jilted because I lost what I wanted at round 2, which was TJ Sanders. I wanted TJ Sanders out of South Carolina, the 6'4", 300-pound defensive tackle, who I just think that he's a 3-down lineman. He can do everything, stop the run, shoot the gap, 4'9", 40. I mean, this guy was just begging to be a Niner, an every down player, pretty much what we wanted Javon Hargraves to be, that he never showed up and did. And I really wanted TJ. When the Bills snatched TJ Sanders, I had a player that I felt as though that was on the level of TJ Sanders, but he just wasn't as polished in Darius Alexander out of Toledo. And I thought that Darius Alexander could get got at 75, not at 43. So what I wanted to do was also possibly go get a big time safety that we probably needed, go get a linebacker at the time, or possibly go get what Jessie had just mentioned at the time, which was Ariante Ersary, which would have been a fine choice at tackle. So me getting Alfred Collins, I just immediately went to just all of the bad grades that I had on him, which is the lack of pass rush, the lack of production in the pass rush, right? I looked at things about him that just things that made me kind of cut him off, even in the draft prep process. Like, to my credit, before the draft started, I made it clear that I was not an Alfred Collins guy, right? Basically off of the lack of production, but not necessarily understanding who he was behind all of the years that he was in Texas, why he wasn't playing, but definitely just doing a quick read of the guy. I just thought that for as much production that he had in 1 year to be that size, why now? And what happened in the fact of the other years where he didn't produce that? I'm not going to jump ahead of the draft, but I, like Ryan, there were other picks down the draft that made me okay with Alfred Collins when I started to see the vision. But after a day, I came back inside the fold. But for that time, I didn't like the pick because I thought that there were other picks that were more than just one-trick ponies. But I get the pick now.
Is it my turn?
Yeah.
I was lose track. Sorry, I just lose track. You guys are doing great. I love the pick because to me it signals that they're not as married to the wide nine anymore. And that's what I've been waiting for this. Maybe I'm wrong, but it's like, dude, this guy's a two-gapper. He is not the quick. You said it in your live stream. Like, where's the quick first step? This is not the kind of guy he's nothing in common with Javon Hargrave. Nothing. Mm-hmm. So him and Michael are guys who can play like 4-eye. They give you the ability to play a 5-man front and 2-gap if you wanted to. Like, if you're facing the Eagles or the Ravens or the Cardinals want to be this team. I mean, more and more teams want to be this team. Teams that'll play 2 tight ends on the line of scrimmage, 3 tight ends on the line of scrimmage to really spread you out. Now you can put CJ West at nose tackle, Collins at one D end, Michael Williams at another D end, and then linebackers outside of them. You could get really, really big on the defensive line if you have to. And I think you need that ability to match up with some of these teams in the NFL. And like, just being so married to the wide nine every matchup, every week isn't helping you anymore. So I did like it for that reason. And it's like, if he's only a 2-down player, so be it. At least he's not a first-round pick. And I think it's clear they were looking for someone like him, 6'6", as opposed to Kenneth Grant, 6'3", because one, it allows him to 2-gap with those long arms, and 2, like, now you can have a 5'11", 215-pound will linebacker and feel like he's never going to get touched. So I think they kind of all work together. But we'll see. Yeah. They could all suck. I don't know.
Agreed. But those are the things that made me, also, like you said, that was something that we brought up on day 3, Jesse, when we kind of locked horns about the pick, is that not only are we scouting the guys basically off of what we know or what we would deem to be a good prospect, but it would also behoove us to scout the guys for what we know the Niners like, right? Like, this is the type of stuff that they go for. So GTFO is like one of their hallmarks of first step, getting off the ball. They don't even look at guys. I've heard them in the past say that guys that we thought were adequate, like, this guy's a dog, his first step, he's completely off the board. We don't even. So when I saw Alfred Collins at first, I was like, there's no way. There's no way he doesn't have a first step. But now, as the draft, like we said, as the draft contextualized, I started warming up to the pick.
They're evolving.
Real quick, like, in the era of the tush push, right, being able to put those big dudes out there to give yourself a chance in those situations could end up being big.
That's right, man. They're just revamped the 4-man front because they watch our show and they figured it's important. So, other than these first 2 picks, what was the Niners' best pick in your opinion? Give some love to someone else.
We're all going to say the same person.
Then let's
Every
not.
single one of us.
CJ West.
Yeah, we would all say that.
CJ.
CJ West is my pick. I love the pick.
Best
value. It's exactly what we need. It directly goes to a need with us being able to have a nose and a shade that actually, to his credit, beats up centers, which I love his demeanor. This is a kid that came out of Toledo and played and was the tip of the spear of a defense that pretty much they took everybody by storm this year, Indiana's defense. I think that he's really kind of the evolved version of what DJ Jones would aspired to. DJ Jones didn't have this much ability first coming in. I think that CJ West is a little bit more developed than what DJ Jones was first coming in, especially with DJ Jones being able to rely on his pad level, stay low, even from being a lower player. I just know that one of the biggest things that Coach Kasarik would always push into DJ is like, yo, keep your feet moving. Do not stop moving your feet. That's something that CJ West already has in spades. I love the pick. And that was the pick that made me look back at Alfred Collins and say, okay, I get it. I understand. That was the pick that made me okay with Alfred Collins.
Like they went all in with a certain thing in mind.
Yeah. I got it now. When I put it on, I said, Alfred Collins does not look so bad now next to what they're trying to do. And really, if you think about it, more of the same where they got Nick Martin, they picked up Upton, they picked up Alfred Mikael Williams. So I envision this team to be like blitz by committee. It's not just going to be one guy that you depend on week in and week out.
I agree.
All right.
Yeah. Well, I was just going to say, like, we all are going to say CJ West, and I know that you said take the first two. Okay, well, that's fine. We were, and I knew we were, but I'll take this opportunity real quick. I know you said not the first two guys, but I do want to circle back around on Mikael Williams because I still do sense that a lot of 49er fans really think this was not the right pick at 11. And I know that I just said I would take Walter Nolan, but if Walter Nolan was my 10, Mikael Williams was my 9.9. Like it was that close for me. I was totally fine with it. Mikael Williams, to me, the reason he was the right pick is because, Ryan, you talked about a floor. I think his floor is really high because at the very least, he's instantly the best edge setter that the 49ers have had in the Shanahan-Lynch era, and I don't think it's particularly close. Then you add in the fact that as a young player, they can manufacture pass rush by kicking him inside during third down. I think he's going to win those matchups against guards. So I look at that, and then I look at what the 49ers have truly needed over the last couple of years, which is that run defense. He allows all of that to start. And so when you pair everything together that they did, the 49ers are going to put a lot of teams in third and long because of Mikael Williams, because of Alfred Collins. And when you do that, no, you may not have the pure pass rushers, but what you can do now is you can send the fifth guy. You can send the Upton Stouts. You can send the Upton Stouts and the Nick Martins. You can send those guys on blitzes and do it freely, knowing that teams are going to have to get rid of the ball quickly and throw short of the sticks and not get their first downs anyway. So I like that the 49ers built this thing this way, and let's stop the run first. We'll manufacture pass rush. We'll do the simulated pressures or whatever we got to do on third down to get home. But first and foremost, as long as teams can't run on us, we're going to demoralize offenses by doing this. Constantly imagine the one way you can beat the Philadelphia Eagles is you put them in third and long constant situations and make Jalen Hurts beat you. And the 49ers now have a recipe to do that long term. This isn't just about 2025. This is about many years to come. The Philadelphia Eagles are not going anywhere. They're going to continue to draft well. They're going to continue to build a really good roster. So how do you beat teams like that? You have to put their quarterbacks in situations they don't want to be in. And the 49ers are building towards that long term, which makes them a nightmare matchup potentially for many years to come with a team like the Philadelphia Eagles. So,
all right, I got a couple names unless someone else wants to go.
I mean,
Ryan,
I have
you wanna
one
go?
more name. I'm sorry.
Okay.
Go ahead, bud. Go ahead.
No, go ahead, Ryan. You haven't gone yet at all. Go ahead.
I mean, CJ West was definitely my guy. I do like Stout, though. Stout is an interesting guy. I mean, he's small on the smaller side, but he got 22 reps of 225 at 188 pound as a 188 pound man. 22
That's
reps.
fucking impressive.
That's hell of impressive, man. That's really good. He's strong. I like it, you know, from everything you've seen, everything I've read about him, tremendous work ethic, wants to be a dude. Demo already loving his attitude. That call that he had with when he was drafted was like brought out the fan in me again. You know, sometimes you get jaded covering the team for so long, but that call of when they drafted him, just his energy. I think he's going to fit in well, and he might end up being the starting nickel on this team. So I think if he ends up starting, it was a great pick, especially where they got him. So I'm excited about him.
I like that pick a lot too.
I've got a guy who is my
No, hold on. It's my turn. You can't take all the good people. You guys have already taken 4 people. Hold on. Let me go and then you go. Because then you're going to take all my guys. So let me do my guy and then you do your guy. Because you've already done one guy.
All right.
I got to get one guy. And I'll do one guy and then you can go and then I'll go and then you can go and then I'll go.
I just don't want you to take my guy.
No, I'm taking my guy. Nick Martin is my guy.
Okay. That's not my guy. That's not my guy.
Nick Martin. I feel like a lot of people feel the Niners traded like reached for Nick Martin and that there were other like Chris Paul or other guys that they had been linked to. I like Nick Martin. I think he's got way more juice than any of the other linebackers that were available in round 3. The guy runs a 4.5. He's going to be, first of all, I think he's going to start week 1. I think he's going to be a week 1 starter, like Warner was. And I think, he might miss some tackles, but he's going to be the first guy to the action consistently. And other people are going to clean up. I think he's going to have a lot of like assists. I think he's going to be really good in coverage. He's got long arms. I think he's going to be everywhere. He's going to make the team look way faster. I think he's going to make a huge impact right away and justify the pick. I love that pick, Nick Martin. He's
Fred
faster than Greenlaw.
I think it's Nick Warner, D. Winters, and Fred. Those are going to be your starting linebackers.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
Start a lot of dudes.
My dark horse guy that I feel as though he's going to start is Marquise Siegel.
That's my other guy.
That's my guy. Marquise Siegel, free safety out of K-State.
Great pick.
We finally got a free safety. We have a guy that is not a heavy box safety or one of these dual guys where he's really just an undersized, strong safety. This guy is truly a free safety. All right, at 6 foot, 200 pounds. He runs a 4.37, and he plays at 4.3. This guy had 4 picks last season. He's a true center field safety. Another thing I like about him is that he plays outside of his frame, strong, comes down, bangs in the paint, and also physically, he's more along the lines of Upton Stout, where he may not have like that physically imposing frame, but the numbers, 40-inch vert, okay? He's got over 20 reps on the bench as well. Like, this guy is somebody who I think is going to be able to truly step into that role that, quite frankly, we really haven't had a true free safety in about 4 seasons. So I really think that the road is wide open for him to be there, especially with Malik Mustafa going down. And we already know that Jair Brown is probably going to get pushed off into that other role. I'm being in a box guy, but Marquise Siegel, I'm excited to see what he can do for us. We've been looking for this a player of his ability for quite some time.
I don't know if he'll start right away, but I think he'll end up being a starter. And like, look at all the success the Niners have had drafting around 5, especially DBs, Lenore, Hufanga, DJ Reed. I think this guy's could be in the next in line. I mean, his traits are round 1 traits: 4.37, 5'11", 40-inch vert. I believe he had 3 picks last year, and he's a really good run defender. Like, that's a hell of a 5th round pick.
I think he's 26 reps on that 225, 26.
Yeah, 26. Yeah, sorry, Ryan. 26 reps at 5'11", 199. Like, that's somebody that's grown man strength. You don't get that overnight, or you don't get that going to a trainer for a couple of months before the combine. That's months, that's years of working. So I'm excited. I want to see what he does.
What was the 49ers' worst pick, if you had to pick one?
I think we all
doesn't mean you hate the player, doesn't mean you think he's terrible, just in terms of value or whatever reason.
We all have the same on this, don't we?
Go ahead. I'm curious to see who you have. I can go a couple different directions.
I understand why he's on the team, but I really didn't get Jordan Watkins in the 4th round.
That's who I would have had. Watkins. And I don't – he could be good, man.
That's me too. That felt like the strange reach for a position that wasn't a huge need.
Yeah, and it was the first offensive pick of the draft, and it clearly made it seem as though that there were 2 different people drafting that night. I walked away from the draft not really understanding the offensive picks because we weren't addressing O-line early. Now, one thing I will say, just to be fair, is before the Upton Stout pick, we lost 2 prospects to the Las Vegas Raiders in Charles Grant and Rogers, the 2 tackles that the Niners had been heavily scouting, had them on 30 visits. And I do believe that if it wasn't for Vegas going ahead of us and taking those 2 offensive linemen, that is where we would have went and got our tackle this year. So I do have to say that, but the Jordan Watkins pick, I understand that he made a name for himself when his teammate went down. I believe Trey Smith, he got drafted in the 2nd round. He's really good on the move. He is a 4-3 guy. I understand that the receiver room is kind of in flux right now, especially with understanding what Brandon Ayuk is going to bring us. But it just felt like a reach. I mean, there were other guys. I mean, right about now, I don't necessarily see that much of a difference between Jordan Watkins and Isaiah Naylor, and he was an undrafted free agent. So I would have to. I don't understand the pick that much.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I'm still like trying to find like what they like about this guy. I mean, he doesn't look bad, but there's nothing like really jumps out about him to me. And with the current situation on the team, I don't see him starting. So, and this is later on in the rounds, maybe round 5 or whatever. You're really not going to get many starters, or the end of round 4, technically. You're really not going to get a ton of starters necessarily, but there's guys like Carson Vincent, who the Ravens drafted, offensive tackle, who might have been a better investment for the 49ers long term. Like, to me, at that point, once they started going offense, it's – besides running back, I would have been fine with them just investing in the trenches everywhere. I think because that would have been a bigger need. Wide receiver was a need, but coming into this draft, I think we all knew that they're not going to be able to solve all of their needs in one draft. So by the time they got to Watkins, I just don't think the player really is going to do much on this team. I'd love to be wrong, but I just don't see his place on this team. So I think I would have rather them invested in O-line at that point.
I think that's the one that we're all going to look at. I'll make the case just to be different for the Nick Martin pick. So imagine their draft went like this. Instead of Nick Martin at 75, they took one of those offensive linemen that the Raiders got. And then at 100, they took Nick Martin. Okay. Yeah. So 100, they go Nick Martin. They still go CJ West. Everything else stays the same. CJ West at 113. And instead of the receiver at 138, that's where they take Upton Stout. I think all of us would give this draft a clear A at that point. But and Martin is a good player. I see the vision. There's nobody in this world that can tell me that he wouldn't have been there at 100. I'm going to give you the layout of the draft and what happened before Martin and after Martin real quick.
Okay.
Before Martin, it had been 26 picks since anybody had taken linebacker, any team. After Martin, it was another 32 picks before somebody took linebacker. So if you really believe that Martin would have been the linchpin that was like everybody was waiting on him to fall, I don't know. I don't know what to tell you. He would have been there at 100. They easily could have gotten him there, and the whole draft could have been very, very different. But they took Martin at 75. They didn't get either of those offensive linemen because of it, and they took Upton Stout, who's a good player, but also was definitely early, and I think a very good chance he's there at 138. So that's just the way that I see it. That's the difference to me between the grade I gave them and an A draft, really.
I'll go one further, and Jesse, you speak more to this one, but the running back, Jordan James, I like him. Yeah. He's very powerful for like a mid-sized running back, and he scored a lot of touchdowns, but they took him ahead of Jaden Blue, DJ Giddens, Ollie Gordon, Devin Neal, Taj Brooks, Damian Martinez. I don't know. I mean, did they need to take him at that spot? Is he that much better than those guys? Is he that much better than the undrafted free agent they brought in from Cincinnati? I don't know. You watched him much more than me, though. Yeah. I mean, at times he looks like Mark Ingram. I mean, he runs hard.
He does. I mean, he's not going to be for a lack of trying. That's for sure. He wasn't my favorite running back left there. The thing for me though is I feel like when you get in round 5, just take your guys. I don't care like what the consensus is. To me, like I don't think that players can be a bust when they're picked that late, and I don't think that you can really have reaches when you pick that late. I just think that it's kind of a free for all once you get to that point. So for them, taking a running back there was not too early. And if that was their guy, then that's their guy. But their
also biggest reach with their first 113 was Nick Martin.
Right. I would have taken a different running back there, but I can understand why they like Jordan James. So
What do you see from Jordan Mason as a Oregon aficionado?
James.
Jordan James, he's a very willing. You said Jordan Mason. I get it. You miss
I
him.
miss him.
You miss him. He's a very willing blocker, but he's not a good one. He just kind of gets in the way. He's not a great receiver or route runner, but he can do it. He definitely is going to hit smaller players in the open field and lay them out. But one thing that's interesting about him, as powerful as he is, and for as much force as he does run with at times, the Oregon Ducks, quite frequently when they played good teams, if they got in 3rd and short or 4th and short, they wouldn't hand the ball off to him. They would prefer to pass instead. And if they did hand the ball off to him, he often would get clipped in the backfield and lose yards. So if you're looking for a guy that is just going to move the sticks in those scenarios, which I think has been missing from this offense, I don't know that he's the guy to do it. And just so that we are clear, the 49ers took a UDFA that is very similar to him. And don't be surprised if they end up liking the UDFA more than they do Jordan James. To me, that was them protecting themselves and taking two guys that were similar and seeing who they like more.
James never fumbled, right? He's never fumbled in career.
No, he's very short-handed. He's very short.
You know what gets me about the Niners? They're like looking for a short yardage back. Like they don't have the best fullback in the NFL. I mean, he's staring you in the face. When I was a kid, that's what fullbacks did, right? They actually were the goal line backs.
But good hands with Allstott.
That's why I feel like Juice isn't really a fullback. He's like an H-back who lines up in the backfield sometimes. Fullbacks run the ball. At least they used to. I don't know. Confused. But I mean, well, really old.
What's confusing about the running back position is that like you want to replicate, you want to fill in what you lost, and we don't need slashers or one cut backs. We need power backs. We need backs that can actually get us for 3rd and 1, short yardage, red zone. I mean, that's a lot of why we were struggling in the red zone. Because one of the reasons why you're struggling in the red zone is particularly because of our offensive line, but also because you can't get cute with the real estate is that, at a premium. You don't have enough space down there, but you're going to have to, like, all of the shifts and the motions, it kind of looks funny down in the red zone because it's like, who are you fooling, bro? Let's just get the play on, So really, that's why we all looked at like DJ Giddens and bigger power backs that we know could really get downhill in a hurry. They just kind of went against it. I don't think they necessarily like those guys unless they have to have them on the team. So that's why, because DJ Giddens was there, and to your point, great, you picked up the Martinez stuff later in the draft, and I thought that would have been a viable pick as well.
And to be real, that's a concern for this coming season, right? Short, like 3rd and short. Like who do you have to run it? Do you have the offensive line to run it? Do you have the running back room to run it? Like that's another area of concern. It's going to. What
do you think they re-signed Juszczyk to do, Ryan?
Yes,
this is his season, man. He's still improving.
Maybe they can make CJ West a fullback in those situations.
Harbaugh would. Steve Smith says Kittle saw us re-sign Juliet, pay Ayuk and Trent to not play, and said emoji, 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 emoji. That's what he said. Official BNM Music 88 says Maple Missile sounds like Canadian, not suitable for work stuff. I agree. Right. Miners End donates $2 for the cause. Thank you. Steven Smith says Kyle already has the tackle he wants, number 44. So true. Steven Smith says Kostrick will 100% improve Alfred's first step and pass rush. Michael's lack of pass rush moves worries me. If he stands out in training camp, trade 97. Oh, so you're not worried. You said one sentence you were worried. Next sentence you're trading Bosa. Steven.
Can we say something about Mikel, though, that everybody needs to understand, I feel like, is that you're not going to get it this year. He's not going to rush the passer and be like this can't miss pass rusher this year. But what he's going to do with the run, if you're paying attention, is going to be immediate. So there's going to be people saying that he's not good within the first year. I know it. But you got
that being said, though, he's going to get a lot of one-on-ones. And then on 3rd down, he's going to get put in a lot of stunts in games and stuff. And he might get some good opportunities without having to actually win like Bosa does.
I agree.
I think that's why I liked the Alfred Collins pick and the CJ West pick, is because I mean, if you have Nick Bosa, CJ West, Alfred Collins, and Michael, like who's getting double teamed and who's not there, you know? So I think that's why I was happy about those picks.
Dazza says, will Niners get to the Eagles stage where they're drafting, bringing in free agents to upgrade as opposed to just replacing players? Eagles seem to have replacements in-house or bring in guys and get better. Yeah, they're a couple years ahead of the process. That's how you do it. So, no, they won't do that. I mean, maybe. But I think when you throw away 3 first-round picks on a player that you don't play, it's hard to be there. Hard to get there.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, we did have one more topic, but it wasn't super important, and we're like way over time. We were going to argue who's a better player all time, Curry or LeBron, but I figured maybe we'll spare
LeBron James, so it's fine. It's an easy one.
I mean, LeBron has the best career all time.
Yeah, LeBron has the best career.
Like LeBron has the best career all time.
I knew that everybody on the panel would disagree. That's why I said that. So
it was going to end up being me and Ryan against Jesse and the coach anyway. It's going to be great.
I've watched.
No,
Coach
doesn't like LeBron.
You're never going to get me on here defending LeBron.
He hates LeBron.
Happening.
So
I've watched Steph do things, and I'm like, I've never seen anyone do that. I've never watched LeBron and said that, except for like I've never seen anyone have a career like that. Like that's about the only thing I can say for LeBron when it comes to.
He just won't go away.
He's the Frank Gore of football, of basketball.
Yes, just go. We get it. Yeah. Go.
MJ is the GOAT. I agree with Niner.
Think of this.
Real quick, then we got to go. Flav says if we get O-line in place of Martin, then Stout, then we would have needed 27 teams, 3 that drafted D tackle to pass on West. Doubtful, and that was one of our best picks.
Yeah, I mean,
I didn't say no. I said take West at 113 or what? Yeah, where we took him. I said Martin at 100, offensive line at 75, Martin at 100, West at 113, Upton at 138. We still get West at the same spot.
It almost felt like York was in the war room being like, who should I let make the next pick, Kyle or Robert? Robert. And it was just like 5 times in a row. And Kyle was like, oh, man, damn it.
That's why
it just seems weird they went 5 defense in a row.
Receiver. That's what he said.
Kyle seemed so deflated talking about the draft. Like, yeah, it's a great draft we had. It was really exciting, all the picks we made. Really happy about the picks we made in this draft. Love it. No, I don't know. Anyway, 4-man front, a beefed up 4-man front that has the ability to sort of morph into a 5-man front and 2-gap if necessary. But right now it's not necessary because we're the 4 that matter. Thanks for watching. Make sure you like and subscribe. Next week, where is it? Ryan?
Ryan.
That's what's up. Make sure you like and subscribe to him and Coach and Jesse as well. Thanks for watching. Download Prize Picks. Use promo code Cohn. Give